just give it.
Welcome everybody. I'm Chris with Team O'Neill. I'm joined this evening with Ryan Thompson, Thompson Racing Fabrication. We wanted to be able to talk this evening with you guys and the rally community and the community at large about rally racing. I have a ton of experience managing and running rallies and doing all the rally school operations. And Ryan, maybe give us a little experience of what is your background in rally?
My background rally, I started when I was 18 years old at Snowdrift. That was getting to be quite a few years ago now, almost 30. So it's been a while. I moved into professional motorsport 15, 16 years ago. Been running the shop ever since.
And so your background's in the technical side, car building,
Yep.
development, support. So I think you have a lot of history and experience. And if you don't know our community, we send all of our clients to Ryan when someone actually wants to go racing, because he can do it better than anyone else that we know in the United States right now. So we rely a lot on Ryan's expertise. You manage my personal race program, so the reason I get to go racing is because of Ryan. So we wanted a chance tonight to sit down with you and talk about your experience, let our community ask any questions that they might have, and something that we look forward to getting your guys' comments in the comments section. But I wanted to talk a little bit about our relationship, Team O'Neill and Ryan. We've been formally partnered, I guess, 3 or 4 years now.
At least, if not more.
But our very first experience together was actually organizing rally in American Rally Association. So back in 2016, 2017, I was running New England Forest Rally, and we were getting frustrated with some of the sanctioning body rules and the way the rallies were being run. So we were looking for someone to who had expertise in the technical, like how to build a race car, what rules, how do people cheat. You know, the best way to make rules is find the worst cheater out there and make them write the rules, right?
You called me.
We found some other people for that, but you were very experienced and you were willing to raise your hand and volunteer a ton of time back then.
I think willingness may have had something to do with it as well, yeah.
But yeah, so you helped set a bunch of rules and write the rule book that they're still, you know, the base of what they're using today, and there's been a lot of changes since then, and I still think you're a part of that.
Yeah, I get brought in sometimes for inquiries, what we were trying to do, or what was the idea here, or what do you think about this? So happy to still contribute a little bit, although I think Doug's doing a pretty good job these days.
Yeah, so we've kind of relinquished all of our responsibilities with the sanctioning body, American Rally Association. So we're both more customers than actually volunteers with that organization now at this point. But we have a lot of experience and history. So if you guys have questions in the comments, we'd love to hear from you. Looks like we're getting a few people already coming in. So Jason asks, what is your all-time favorite car to race? Maybe from the mechanic side, like support. What's been your favorite car that you've supported?
I still love Mitsubishis. That's my heritage. I started first out, and I can't say that you can beat an Evo. That's my favorite to drive, favorite to wrench on. That's gonna have to go down as my favorite for sure.
Why is that? Like, what was it? Your first one, or like?
You know, the durability was what got me to Mitsubishi in the first place. My dad actually worked at a dealership, Chrysler at the time, but he was doing Mitsubishi work at a Chrysler dealership, and I was breaking everything I owned. And he said, "Here, I think one of these could hold up to your abuse." And I guess that sort of just started a cascade of events that led me here.
Okay,
nice. Liked him ever since. In fact, my first exposure to North American Rally was in Lewiston, Michigan, where my family has a cottage, and there was a flyer for Snowdrift on the auto parts store windows, like, you know, check it out, Snowdrift coming, but there was an Evo on it, and this was back in the 90s when Evos were just something we saw in, you know, posters and videos. Like, we didn't have Evos. Oh my gosh, just an Evo. What's this about? And I had to go check it out, and I volunteered at my very first one as a marshal, and way it went.
Huh. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So Mitsubishi's, they're not that common now in American Rally.
They've gotten priced out. They're prohibitively expensive to rally.
Yeah, there just wasn't as many, like the Subaru, they're just kept more iterations, and Mitsubishi kind of died out. But yeah, it's funny. I think more hardcore rallies actually do like that Mitsubishi platform for the day. They
were winning world championships. It was an exciting car.
Yeah. So we just did, like most cool things in the world, we don't get to play with them as long as everyone else does. All right, so Dennis asks, why don't people race much in wagons?
I see people in them, and in Subaru wagons, they're not much of a disadvantage. I don't know. I guess
like a weight thing, image thing. I think, I know a lot of people just like the sedan look.
Yep.
A lot of the time, Fiesta platform, a bit more of that, wagon, hatchback design. So it's a weight management issue. But.
Yeah, I can't think of any reason. I've built plenty of wagon, Subaru wagon roll cages, and they seem to do okay.
So it's probably more aesthetic or personal opinion than actual performance. And we've used a few at the rally school. And we saw that with just our clients at the rally school. We used to have a bunch of Subaru wagons, and it just was like people veered away from that car just because of the aesthetic more than it actually performed just as good as a training tool.
Yeah, it's a love-hate thing. I've even known some people that really love wagons.
Yeah, right. And I think they love it because most people don't.
Right, yeah, it's counterculture.
So that's a good question. Thanks, Dennis. We got a few hey alls. Hey, how you guys doing? That's a good question. So do you guys think it's necessary to spend a few days at the rally school before going to a race? We talk about this a lot with our clients, and it depends on your goals. Ultimately, whatever your goal ends up being, or whatever your personal financial position, there's so many questions and variables. The reason the rally school was built, Tim O'Neill, a 5-time rally champion, at that time wanted a place to give people who's never done a rally a chance to finish their first rally. So the entire curriculum and the entire training program of the rally school was built around allowing you to have never been to a rally, come to the school, and then go to your first rally and finish. To be honest, most of our clients don't go rally. Most of our clients just come to the school, want to experience rally, and that's the end of their rally career. So it's one of those things that our curriculum is still based around allowing you to get enough experience to finish your first rally. And whatever investment that you spend in the rally school, if it saves one car crash, you're going to make that entire investment back in that. And that's the focus of what our curriculum and training is about. So really good question. Thank you for that question. And I think we would obviously say yes. You got a chance to try the rally school with your daughter.
Yes, that was spectacular. Yeah.
We're getting her ready to train up, and she might become a rally driver someday as well.
Someday very soon, like in the next couple months.
Nice.
So we're super excited about that. We are always referring people to do training, and in fact, I'm here combining trips to utilize your resources to help train a customer this week. So there's tremendous value in it, and you touched on something that's always my first question, which relates to the question there was, what do you want to get out of rally? When I get a phone call from somebody, I want to rally, without knowing what are you trying to get out of it, it's really hard to guide you into
give you the best
what
advice.
Training, what car, what program, because everybody's got different goals. You want a championship, you want to go have fun, you want to spend time with your kids, and that was my biggest take. And I saw so many people about the rally school was, I mean, the training was amazing and the professionalism and all that was striking, but for me, at the time my daughter was 13, I had a week of her undivided attention. Like no cell phone, no people, no nothing, just her and I for a whole week. And I had the very real awareness that it was like, this is probably the last time in her entire life that I'll get a week of just her attention. And I'm forever grateful.
That's really cool perspective. Yeah, no, it's something that, we both run businesses and we're making a living off this, industry, and it's something that our intention is to make sure we give you the right product. We can find a way to spend your money, no question, but our goal is to keep you happy and keep you achieving the goals and dreams that you have. So that's always both of our first question, and that's why we work together so well, I think, because that was the first interaction we both had with each other when we started ARA. So I think that's great. Let's scroll back up here and make sure I didn't miss anything. If you're gonna recommend a good starter car for rally, Gnome, what would you say your experience?
That changes all the time because of availability of production cars. Right now it's the Fiesta. It's the easy pick. It's like click buttons, buy parts. Everybody knows the program. But that gets back to what are you trying to get out of rally? You know, because some people are. I've been a Subaru. I had a customer once came to me and said, "I've had a lifelong dream of owning a Subaru rally car."
Right.
He's like, since I was 17 years old and I saw my first commercial, that was my driving goal for the past 15 years. I'm so excited. I'm finally going to get there. I'm going to have my Subaru rally car. Okay. I mean, like, he was aware that it wasn't the most competitive. It wasn't going to be the fastest. It wasn't the best choice of being the best driver. But that was his driving #1 goal. I want a Subaru rally car. Hey, good for you. I mean, this is a hobby, something we do for your enjoyment. So we helped him build a Subaru rally car.
Yeah.
So Fiesta is an easy pick right now because it's affordable, it's available. There's lots of parts, there's lots of resources. But that's even fast forward 3-4 years from now, it's probably not going to be the same answer because they haven't made in production for almost 5 years, so they're going to start to diminish.
Right. Yeah, so that's back to the goal question, but for us too, are you mechanically inclined? Do you want to be working on your car? Do you want to have something original on stage that no one else has? Or does your goal just to get on stage, get driving experience? You know, the Fiesta platform, before that was the Volkswagen Golf. Again, a front wheel drive car being the Team O'Neill mindset, the champion mindset is learn how to drive a slow car fast. And that's what Team O'Neill focuses on, and that's why we always suggest a front-wheel drive car to start as a good starter car. Leah Block just won the two-wheel drive Open Championship in a rear-wheel drive car, so she proved that you can be really fast in two-wheel drive and rear-wheel drive, but you need the right platform, you need all that experience and everything else to be able to do that. So good question, and it's something that, again, what's your goal? So we can definitely help you with that. Let's see. Is there any other engine you guys like beside the Boxer engine? I know they're excellent at weight distribution and cornering. Is there another engine out there that you all like?
Ford 1.6 turbo's been pretty good for us lately. I mean, those things are just bulletproof and going. I gotta say though, myself and my crew, we have a fun time every rally noting how many Subaru engines don't make it to the end.
So I think there's a first assumption that we might have liked the Boxer.
Yeah. Well, they've been very good for me in my career, but yeah, we're usually kind of poking fun and seeing how many of them make it to the end of a rally, because it's usually more than one that don't.
Yeah,
there's a lot of them there, so it's a big pool, but
right. The ratio.
It's a fun game for us.
We enjoy it. Yeah, I mean, I'm a Subaru fanatic myself. That's why I'm here at Team O'Neill, is the Subaru platform. But as a rally racer, and my experience learning how to drive a slow car fast, my Fiesta rally car is what I'm using for my own development. But yeah, no, it's something that, I think Subaru engine got bad rap for a long time. People figured out the issues, and for the most part, it's just they go too long without maintenance. So the 200,000 mile engine, it's gonna have problems.
And every manufacturer's had good and bad engines throughout, so it's just some of them apply better to rally than others.
Yeah. Do you have a favorite platform that you've seen over your career, as far as like a bulletproof engine, or even I know you did drag race support at one point
yeah.
too? And
boy, I mean, my first thought was the Mitsubishi 4G63, which is an iconic rally engine, and also what I drag raced personally long ago. But yeah, there's so many cool engines that I can like them. The Audi 5 cylinders and the cool right. unique tone, and those are pretty spectacular. We did get an opportunity to work on alcohol powered supercharged Hemi for Pikes Peak. Wow. That was pretty. That sound that engine made was just spectacular. It was the best sounding car on the mountain, hands down.
Is that something that can be reliable, or is that like constant maintenance or something like that?
No, that's what's crazy is that those engines, we were using 99% stock engines, 1,000 horsepower, just ripping up Pikes Peak.
Wow.
Change the oil at the end of the day. That was all I needed.
That's amazing.
They're very, very, very good.
Huh. Cool. Good question. Let's see.
Karen asked how many
cars
have
you
I
built over the
built.
years?
I think Karen is grossly overestimating my ability to count.
It's more than this many.
Yeah. I really don't know. I don't know.
Okay, so what's your favorite? That was
It's
your
a lot.
second
Yeah,
question.
yeah.
You gotta have a
The
favorite.
second factor. There's so many I like in different ways. I mean, there was we built it early on in TRF. We built a Volvo 242 for the Topping family, and that's still one of my favorite cars. It's still in our care, and I get to drive that every once in a while, and it's just like, I know the sounds it makes, the feel, and all the things that are so cool about that car. But it's an old Volvo. Whose styling is really not my preference, but there's still a lot I like about that car. Some of the BRZs we've done have been just smiles per mile, stand out, pretty spectacular. I don't know. I guess it's just, I like different aspects of different ones. You know, they're all unique.
You've had some OEM contracts and done some cool stuff with OEMs. That was your Pikes Peak.
Yeah, we were partnered with another shop there. We did a lot of the chassis work and some support, and Wesley Motorsports did a lot of the guidance of that project. But yeah, that was a lot of fun. Being on site of Pikes Peak with a Dodge car, and it was pretty a high point for me in my career for sure.
You put a cage in a Lamborghini that's never seen a rally stage.
Yeah, that's a bummer. I hear it's still in the garage in Ohio. I wish it would come out one day, but I don't know.
Yeah. So you're willing to do some funky one-off projects.
Yeah. Outside of rally, I think that's something TRF has been known for. That I enjoy doing. Give me a wild project, and I'm happy. It challenges my mind, challenges my abilities, challenges my staff now. We did a 3.8 liter turbocharged V6 in a Lotus Elise. That was ridiculous and probably not a well-contrived project, but it was still pretty spectacular when it was done.
Frog said a good starter car is the one you can afford. Yeah. So you guys are experienced with that. We'll see you at the Rally Sprint on Sunday, but they're vital to New England region, and yeah, that's a good piece of advice. And that's something that we get a lot too, is what's the car in your garage? What's something that you want to eventually convert into a rally car someday? And, is it worth buying a donor car or trying to take a car? And again, it goes back to your goals. But, if you're interested or mechanically inclined, there's a lot you can do. Maybe we talk a little bit about roll cage, the safety components versus the mechanical components. We just finished filming all day today together about the actual components of rally cage design and building, and we're going to be releasing those videos out to the community soon. But that's kind of one area we recommend that you find a professional on, right?
Yes.
So it's something that, not selfishly, obviously it's your business and a way for you to generate revenue, but that is the area that we've seen so many failures in our rally community, and people who tried to do it themselves and it not probably work out too well.
Yeah, for sure. Of course, I have a biased opinion, but I think there's a lot of history to support that it's probably not a really, that doing it as a DIY project or hiring the guy down the street does not often end well.
Yeah, so we've seen that too many times, so that's why we have that recommendation.
Yeah, and if anybody's got questions or comments about roll cages and rally car safety, that would be something we'd love to talk about today.
Mateus wants to know about the WRC rumors. There was a lot a year ago that I was hearing about, but I honestly haven't heard really anything in the last year for the US round. I don't know.
No, there's still people working on it. I know that I've still talked to a few people that are pretty convinced that it's going to go, and wish them good luck and hope it can work out.
Here's a good question. So David asked, should I get my gravel tires balanced?
No,
okay.
It's just a waste.
Yeah.
The first little bit of mud you get in the wheel, it's over anyways. So, and usually the weights get knocked off by the brakes, and
So yeah, obviously, first off, we really don't recommend gravel tires for any street driving, right? And so if you're driving on the street, it's going to be uncomfortable with gravel tires, and that's kind of the point, because they're built for that specific use of on gravel. And when you do get on gravel, you're going to start packing in with mud and sand and gravel or snow or ice, or obviously you'd be on snow tires if it's snow or ice. But yeah, that's something that might be a misconception, or people think a gravel tire might be something you'd want on your daily street car, and we would never recommend that. The sidewalls are so strong that you're going to feel every bump, the road going experience, and so yeah, for the actual rally stages, you don't feel it in the car at speed because you've got so many other variables happening on the actual course that's not going to affect your performance. So good question.
Somebody asked what I think the car of the future in the next 5 years might be.
Yep.
BRZ, I think, is one coming, or GT86 now is what it's badged as. I think that could be a viable car, still in production, been in production for a long time. We know what the recipe is to make that car work. There's quite a few of them out there rallying successfully now. That's a good candidate that I'm kind of got my eye on to see if that one will go.
Nice. So Jet asked us that question earlier. Now he wants to know that his goal is having a rally as a hobby, and how much time would he need to spend to keep it alive? Yeah, and a lot of people that we experience, if you can't afford to keep racing yourself, you become a volunteer, you get involved on the back end of the sport. It's kind of the natural progression. You can become a crew member, you can become a co-driver. The most expensive role is the driver's seat. So it's something, if you can't afford to maintain that role, there's a lot of support around that if you're willing to put the labor in for free, if you're willing to, if you're mechanically inclined or could make money that way, obviously you found a way to do that. It's something that, we even talked about turning your hobby into a business. Mm-hmm. And for both of us, we turned a passion into a job, and it loses some of the sparkle and magic when you do that. So there's a balancing act of, what are your dreams and passions and goals, and how can you afford to continue to pay for it?
That's why I have fishing.
You don't race, right? You don't use it in your own money for racing.
No, not really.
I had a come to Jesus moment a few years ago, trying to decide if I was going to actually get into the race car, and it's like, no, I still really want it. And it's something but it's hard sometimes for sure when you know all the back end and have experienced everything involved with racing. But yeah, that's what I would suggest, Jet, is if you do get a rally car, just keep it going in phases. Go slow and get involved as much as you can outside of the spending money part, just so you can learn everything you can about the sport. And
well, for example, like I'm trying to get my daughter into rally right now, and for the past year we've just spent time with her volunteering in events. And I'm strategically trying to get her volunteering around as many people and as many jobs as she possibly can do. Not only will she learn more about rally, but the networking and all the people that she's going to meet, and the co-drivers, the organizers, and how a time control works. And all the information that she's getting and learning for free is going to be remarkably helpful. And proof to that point, that's how I started. I started out just volunteering myself and meeting all those same people and learning all the same ins and outs, and it's served me very well as I've moved my career through rally.
Nice. Yeah, no, that's great. Nikhil's getting some free rally car setup advice. Suspension, tire selection, camber, front wheel drive car. So yeah, this is a good note, right? Everything for car setup is individualized for the rally stages and the setup that you have. There's a baseline middle of the road setup that you can have. If you don't have enough driving experience, just go with the middle of everything, right?
Yeah.
But it's something that for a front wheel drive car, if you have adjustable suspension, and you're on a gravel rally, probably a lighter, a looser setup, right?
Yes, and you can modulate that a lot by rear toe. Will have a big impact on how well the car rotates. A little bit of outside toe will really make it come around, but it's going to make it less stable at high speeds. And then, so I don't know if there's a really, Nick, I don't know if there's a dead,
there's not
guidance I can give you here. We can talk about how rear toe, and you give a little bit of rear toe in, and the car is very much more stable, and it's not going to be as wiggly, but it's not going to want to turn. and you can be straight ahead and it's a little bit neutral, but it might wander just a little bit and follow the road. A little bit of camber doesn't hurt. We're usually looking for that. But we also, it depends a lot on the driver. If I have a newer, younger driver, we're usually setting up pretty close to a factory specification, maybe a little bit deviated for the circumstances, but it's pretty important that you get in there, and until you know how to handle those nuances and how to react, giving you a car that's you're going to be familiar and comfortable with is more important than that cutting edge drivability.
So for me, I think 11 rallies in my experience, a lot of time at the rally school. LSPR this year, the last event I did was the first time I started tweaking my setup outside of middle range, and the course started to get really slippery, and I really started to have issues with braking, and I was trying to brake in the turn and the car was coming around way too much. So we put a little more rear brake on, and it just it was an amazing amount of fix for what felt like a lot of feedback I was getting from the car. So I'm confidently moving my skill up enough where it's actually mattering now to make some setup changes. And we hit some really rough sections, and we talked about how do I keep my suspension from chattering so much, and how do we loosen it up a little bit, and that's where I'm finding that need now finally.
Yep. Well, you needed to develop a level of understanding between you and it's the relationship between your mind, your hand and your feet, and what the car does.
Right.
I wanted to do this, and the outcome was that. And if they matched, it's all good. If they didn't, then you're working backwards. And how do I get that desired outcome based on my expectation? And understanding that relationship all the way through from your head to the car's output is challenging, and it's something you have to learn. And not everybody almost nobody's going to have it right out of the box.
Right. And that's, going to tire selection, what kind of rally is it? Hot rally, cold rally, mainly gravel, snow, ice. It's all specific to that event. The hotter the event, probably a more medium or harder compound, right? Is that kind of your recommendation?
Also budget.
Yeah.
I mean, if we have someone who wants to
make 4 tires last the whole event, or
yeah, exactly,
can do 4 tires every service.
Yeah, we have some customers who they're not dead set on being super competitive. They're out to have a good time, and they want to be sustainable, and they have a budget, and okay, we don't really need a super aggressive compound that's going to shred every day. I mean, these guys can go, half a season or so on a set of tires because they're okay with that, and that's fine. But then if it's a guy who's coming into service and going, all right, we got 20 miles left and I'm 2 seconds down, I want to get that back up. Well, fresh set of tires is going to go a long ways to picking up a couple seconds over 20 miles.
Wyatt, hi Wyatt. He's called you a legend, of course, and he wants you to put a V8 in a little pickup truck. I think you actually did that.
You have my phone number, Wyatt. Just give me a call. We'll make it happen.
Yep. So that would be good. Okay. Amanda wanted to know about your cages. How thick? What are your cage thickness?
Well, generally we have 2 specifications to follow with regards to, I think we're talking about rally cars today, is if it's a DOM cage, it's going to be almost all 095 or 95 thousandths of an inch thick wall tubing. American Rally Association also lets us use a reduced wall thickness when we're using Docal R8, and that's going to be in a range of 0.083 or all the way down to 065.
So on a standard Fiesta build, if you use the R8 versus the regular DOM, what is the weight savings, would you say?
It's roughly about 25 pounds.
Okay.
So actually weight savings per dollar is actually very low on the scale. It's saving. It's only about $750, and it's stronger. So even though it's a little bit, basically the material is almost 50% stronger than DOM, and we go with about 20% less wall. That's some rough numbers, and I don't want to be quoted as saying that's exactly it, but it's even when a bit thinner is still stronger.
The rally car guy wants to see some Skodas, so maybe we should talk about the importing and what we've seen a little bit, and just why we don't have the cool, fun toys over here.
Yeah, I don't know if we want to turn this into a government bashing event, but it is prohibitively difficult. I'm not aware of any truly legal way to bring one of those cars here aside from a carnet,
Right.
which requires a car being shipped back and forth to remain legal, because the carnet only lets you have it here for a period of time. It has to go back, leave the country, and come in. You've paid a bond during that time. Anything that's not here on a carnet, I would say, has a questionable registration history.
Yep. So yeah, we try to stay out of that type of work and business, and try not to recommend that. But that's, kind of one of the shames of the way our structure is set up, and the way that we can import cars, and the way Rally has to go on public transits. Really kind of restrains our ability to get some of these cooler toys that are over in Europe.
Yep.
Our best bet is to get OEMs to finally bring, that manufacturers to bring toys like that over here, and that's the only way it's going to happen. So,
or use older cars. So anything over 25 years old, it gets a lot easier to import.
Right.
I don't know that Skoda had anything that would be valuable back then, but maybe.
Have you played any of the games? Mateus is talking about iRacing and back in the old days, the Rally Burns sim.
Not me.
You haven't tried that?
Sorry,
Right?
I'm not. I have like zero screen time in my life. It feels, well, aside from when I'm working, but
Sure.
yeah, not much of a gamer.
No, that's all right. It's something that we've got a little bit more experience with this new WRC game. We've had some good feedback with it. It's something that anyone that's really into it, the Richard Burns co-driving notes and the way that the driving reacts to the notes, I hear is the best, but I don't have any personal experience with that. But yeah, that's what I've heard as well. So Jet Plane wants to know where he could get a cage in his car. Where could he get a cage?
There's quite a few reputable builders around the United States. You may not find one in every state, but there's Tony Torche out in the Northwest, and ourselves in Michigan, Broken Motorsports on the East Coast. Like there's plenty of reputable builders. And we talked earlier today, I think it's super important, whoever you want, vet that person and make sure that you're getting, like, they've done a rally cage before and they've had something.
Know how to get a logbook.
Yeah, we've seen that so many times. Like, we got this guy down the street. He's done 6 circle track cars and a drag racer, and he's sure he can do it right. And no joke, earlier this when we ripped one of those cages out of a car this year because it wasn't going to get a logbook. Another thing that's just asking where to go always is found so puzzling to me, where we get a phone call from somebody in Illinois or Indiana, or might be 300, 400, 500, 600 miles away, and they're like, "Oh man, I've seen your work, it's great, really love you to have your cage, but you're like 6-hour drive away." And it's always just seems so funny to me because, well, you'll jump in your car or your truck and go drive 8 hours for a race, right? Yeah. Well, this is like a once or twice trip, and it's to save your life possibly. Isn't that worth a 1 or 2 time trip to go get good stuff you can rely on and be comfortable and confident in? And often if I can have that conversation, it's like, oh yeah, it does kind of make sense. But it's just always, I found it very intriguing. But it doesn't have to be us. There's certainly good experienced builders around the United States. Just find them.
Right.
And make sure that, I think if you can get somebody who can say, yeah, I've got this, here's a half a dozen rally cars I've built, 9 high, I'm not trying to purposely put anyone in or out of this, but those are all good guys that have done lots of rally cages, and you can get their work and you're going to be pretty confident that you're going to get at least a quality product and get through TAC and be ready to go.
A good resource that we recommend too is the North American Rally Group page on Facebook. There's a large community of people on there. You jump on there, ask a question, you're going to get 20 or 30 responses, and they're all probably going to be the 4 or 5 people that he said, and give you the same feedback. So it's a good resource to validate what Ryan's saying there too. Good question about the Öhlins. So I'm curious to hear what you're doing with the Öhlins and what they're actually. How do you see those compare to what's out in the marketplace now? And
sure. We've had a long relationship with Öhlins, quite a few years now, and Öhlins would like to expand their market reach back into rally. And it's back in a rally. They certainly have not been very present the past 5 or 10 years. In the 90s, they were winning world championships and very prominent, especially with Subaru and ProDrive, and they were. It's not like they're incapable of building good product. They just seem to stop promoting it and pushing it in the United States. So we've partnered up with them and gonna help push some product. I think it's very, very high quality product. It's certainly on a level with Proflex or Riger, which are also all good dampers. Not to say that Öhlins is the most superior, but I consider them among the tier of top level brands. One thing that makes them different is they have a U.S. outlet. Like there is a group of people in a building and dynos and repairs and even a shaker rig in the Carolinas. Like, we don't have to go to any foreign country to get support. And then we're also going to be able to get Thompson Racing Fabrication is going to be an outlet. We're going to be able to do service and support and in-house rebuilding and revalving and anything you might need. So we're really hopeful because it's been my observation for the past several years that although there's a lot of good product, even we have struggled to get support for good product.
Yeah.
And Öhlins is eager to close that gap, and we're hopeful to help with them, including, I think what most people, we haven't really released this yet, we've kind of teased at it a bit, but there's going to be there's a universal product available. So if you've got whatever, name your crazy car, you brought a Skoda over here or you got a old Volkswagen, or it really doesn't matter. We can pretty much adapt a damper to fit your car. So I think that's going to be a big hit given the variety of rally cars in the USA.
The rally car guy has a 99 Civic Si coupe and he wants to turn it into a rally car. Talked to a few peeps and they would be something cool and different. There was a time when there was some more
We used to build quite a few of those. Anytime it's a 25-year-old car now.
Yeah.
So you're just gonna have a challenge, no matter whether you pick a Honda or an AMC. You're gonna have challenges with an older car, availability of parts. But the Honda Civics made very fast race cars. Honda powertrains are super awesome. A lot of output, not a lot of weight. Chassis durability is maybe not awesome. I think I've always felt like why you didn't see a whole lot around there. Maybe not most robust body around, but absolutely can be a wicked fast car.
Jet Plane wanted to know,
we do go around the country. Canada, you go down to Mexico or have done and so pretty much anywhere in North America that you'd want to do a rally or some sort of off-road race, you'd pretty much be able to service or support.
Oh yeah, absolutely. All of them, myself and my staff, we've all got credentials to travel about the world, but so far we're covering most of North America. I think that extending, once you get beyond North America, the cost of transportation logistics, it'll be likely that we might just send crew support or something, but rental car makes a lot more sense if you want to go rally in another part of the world. Someone asked about getting events in the Caribbean.
I'm reading that now.
Man, I'd love to go. Get Marcus, find somebody that needs crew down there. I'm ready to go.
It's a good question, just like anywhere in that, even the southern United States, there hasn't really been much till the last few years, and it just comes down to motivated volunteers and people willing to put the time into to create the event. Right?
Sure.
And that's, ultimately, it's a build it they will come problem, but you need the organizers or the people willing to put on the rally, find the roads, get the permissions, get insurance, get all of that set, and then you put it out that you have a rally, and that's when you start to market and advertise to the competitors, and gotta usually start small and work your way up. So I know, I believe it's there is a fairly Barbados that has a consistent rally. So if you're already in that part of the world, I would figure out the Barbados people, go do a volunteer at that event, and they'll tell you everything, because we're all volunteers just trying to make it happen. So if you're motivated to try to host an event down in your neck of the world, that's what I would suggest doing.
Sure. Yeah, that's a great way to go. Wyatt's got another good question about tracking the lifetime of parts replaced periodically if they fail. Absolutely, we do, and that's going to come down to goals and objectives too, and how well we know each one of our drivers. I've got people that can go a half a season on a set of tires. He's really not wearing out transmissions. Then we've got people that are wearing out transmissions faster than some of my other customers are wearing out tires.
Right.
So there's a balance of expectations. And how the most genius way to track that, I'll have to say I got from my dear friend Henry Kralkowski. He was one of the very first people early on to take TRF support, and I remember being enamored by. He'd open the hood in Henry's car, and like every part had a date or a mileage or
Just right on the part.
Yeah, like just paint marker. And I don't know that we're always doing that on actively campaign stuff. You will see some, date and writing and things like that. But I think on a regional level, that was the most genius way. And Henry finished more rallies, I think, than anybody I knew. Like that was Henry's number one thing. Like, I'm gonna finish. And it was so if Henry had a turbocharger, and I know this was true, Henry had a turbocharger fail after 8 rallies. So it just became programmatic that every 6 rallies Henry got a new turbocharger. Like, well, I know if I can fail one after 8, I know I'm not going there again. So now the turbocharger would say on that cold side, it was September 03, and so he knew based on how many rallies he did after that it was time for a new turbocharger.
That's interesting. Yeah, that was an issue that when we started doing a lot more work with M Sport, they figured all that out, and they were able to just give us all the time parts. And when we had Brendan Reeves driving for us, he was obviously requiring a lot more maintenance to make sure that we could keep the car going versus someone that is just a paying client that's first time rally racer. We can get a whole season on something versus one-off events. It all depends on your goal and how much you're pushing the car, but the tracking system being in place is a big variable.
Yeah.
And being committed to just tracking that information. It's time, effort, and priority. Is that a goal for that client? And
we keep every time a car comes back from a rally, now we have an entry review that it's an inspection report. We're going through every last little detail of the car, and we keep those event after event after event, and the subsequent lists of what we've done. So in our shop, while we're maybe not using the paint marker because there's too many cars and too many moving parts, we have a record which becomes a digital record being reviewed. Hey, when was the last time that clutch got done? Well, I can flip through, or I can look through my scan files and find it.
So Noam, you asked about, is there a rally format that doesn't involve public transit? Yeah, and they, for the most part, rally sprints. That's the goal. Now, caveat, obviously, Team O'Neill, ours actually does have a little section of public transit that we're looking at, seeing if there's other ways to design the sprint to remove even that little section. But the goal of a rally sprint is to be as low impact on drivers and teams and being able to actually get yourself to go rally. But it's also built as an event to help you go to your first stage rally. So that's why we still justify making you do a public transit, is you do need a caged car that has a plate to eventually go do stage rally. So there's not much exhibition rally or these stage events where you can play with something. I think the guys down in Texas, the Rally Ready guys, I think theirs is entirely closed system, so you don't need any sort of public transit or plate vehicle to do that one. But rally sprints are kind of your only choice if you're trying to do true stages without having a public transit.
There's getting to be a few of those. I know they've got some in Texas, and there's
Washington, the Dirtfish guys might have some.
Trying to get some stuff going in Michigan. I'm not sure if they've gotten that go yet or not. But Noam asked about problems with bringing Canadian cars into USA, and certainly that's common. There's a couple small differences in our rules, but I think nothing significant. Maybe a piece of roll bar padding or a small bit, but the cage rules are all about the same. It's no problem crossing the border with those cars. see that all the time. So come on down. Rally's a good time.
Riley's going to be at Oregon Trail this May. You're probably going to be out there supporting cars.
Yep, we'll be there. Yep.
For sure.
Yep, sounds like maybe 2 cars.
Doesn't look like I'll be making it out west this year in a competition format, but yeah, no. Hopefully, come by, say hi. If you've got anything we can help you with.
Josh is ready for a road trip.
Nice.
Not surprised.
Hey Perkins, what's up, buddy? Allison, good question, Allison. So you guys do make it look seamless. You make look servicing on cars easy. It comes with all the experience that you guys have.
That's very flattering. Thank you.
But what do what is the hamster and the going on behind the wheel, and what are you guys doing to really keep things as seamless as possible?
It is just experience and good project management and team leadership. But absolutely, we've had our failures along the way. So I get like a lot of things I learned the hard way. And I definitely crawled before I can walk. And I could connect from car to car, person to customer, all through the lineage from where I started. Like, I remember that Volvo I talked about. We built that car 15 years ago. And it was like, they invited me to come be crew chief in Missouri. And like, at that time, I'm in my 20s. I'd never even been to Missouri. It's like, you want me to go race cars in Missouri with you? Let's go. And I didn't even get paid. I just showed up and I got a little tip, and I was thrilled to death. And it's just gone from there to we've had, well, 1 car works, let's try 2 cars. And a couple of them with my brother, man, thank him, he helped me out so much in the beginning. Come on, let's go, and here we go, here helping, we're figuring it out, and we had a good time, and it just worked out. And there was failures along the way. I remember the first time I took on 5 cars at once. That did not go well, for those of you who weren't there, but we learned and we grew, and it's just one step at a time. I think as far as for me, the biggest single pivotal point, which I didn't do the first time when I had 5 cars, which didn't work, was I tried to be the crew chief for all of them. That was a disaster. One person can't keep 5 cars straight. Yeah. Big mistake. So now every single car gets a crew chief. If we're a multi-car team, I'm usually there as the team manager. I'm not hands-on unless it's really, really dire. It needs my input. But that seems to help us no matter how many cars you have. Each car, we can all be cooperative, we can all help, but there has to be some single point of accountability. This is your car. This is your responsibility. We're pointing you if it runs out of gas. Not that would happen, Chris. There's that one person looking after it and being the leader of the crew. That's pretty critical, no matter how big the team is.
I might have ran out of gas once.
Yeah, we may have been supporting it.
So Allison's, the follow-up to that too is like, what would you recommend for brand new crew? Like, if this was your first rally as a crew guy, what could you do to be prepared, or what are you thinking about if this was the first time you were a crew guy?
I've never been asked that question. That's a good one. It's not for everybody. It's like, it's a love-hate thing.
It's long, hard, cold, and then lots of waiting, and then like high peaks and valleys.
Sure, but for those of us who love it, like I truly feel fortunate. Like, I'm making a living doing something I love. Like I said, that excitement of going to Missouri the first time, like I've turned this into a job. It's so amazing. But then I have people look at me like, you did what? At what time at night? And you thought this was great? Like, no thanks. So, but yeah, it's long hours, high level of dedication, but it's gratifying. Right. Like, we love being part of a good team. We want to feel like we love it when the car comes in and there's a wheel hanging off. And it's like, yeah, see, that one just left straight. That was me and this team. We got together, and the gratification and the contribution and just being part of that effort is pretty special for us.
I think one thing that I've seen, we've dealt with this a little bit of bringing a new guy out, is try to understand the car that you're working on too a little bit. There's 5 or 10 tools that is probably specific to that car, right?
Yeah.
Whatever, if a Fiesta, there's a lot of 13 mil bolts, and just have your toolkit try to be a little more set up specifically for the car you're going to work on.
Yeah, for sure. And when we're building, and then that's part of like when we're building cars, we're trying to think about serviceability and making things accessible and not using 16 different sizes of fasteners and all the things. But I do want to mention, I want to backtrack just a little bit. One thing I forgot to say, which I'm always coaching my new guys and my younger guys, is it's because it's such an adrenaline rush. The car comes in and the pieces are hanging off or whatever, and you got this control arm is bent or who knows what you're trying to resolve. It is so much better if you spend 30 seconds triaging whatever you've got to do. Like, all right, I've got to cut away the fender here. I'm going to be taking this control arm off. I'm going to be sledgehammer clearancing that, and I'm going to take my new control arm, put that on, zip it together, and then wheel back on, and it's out. Having spent 30 seconds to know my plan and know my procedure before I just start thrashing with tools makes me so much faster and so much more efficient.
That's good advice.
But people, it's that adrenaline. They just want to get in there and get after it. And then the more experienced guy comes along, like myself, and just give me 30 seconds. I need to work this out, and then be ready with tools as fast as I'm calling for them. We're going to get this done. But that 30 seconds triage and planning will make you far less mistakes and more efficient.
Marcus is back with 90s Halo cars. Have we seen any of them? Pulsar, GTIR, Toyota, Catalina?
I don't think that would be allowed.
Yeah.
No, Halo cars are a bad deal.
I don't even know what that is, to be honest.
It was an antiquated roll cage structure. I don't. Of course, that's not my choice. That would be Doug's, but I think you'd have a hard time getting that.
Yeah. Opinion on buying used rally cars?
That is a great question.
That is a great question.
You touched on it earlier. Like, it depends on your means, your outcome, your goals, because there's a lot of different perspectives. I had one customer who very wisely once told me, "Hey, I know every rally car is going to cost me $70,000." He goes, so I look at it as I can spend $70,000. This was a few years ago. I can spend $70,000 and have you build me a race car, or I can spend $25,000 and buy a used one, and over the next 3 years I spend $25,000 a year, keep it going. Because it's $75,000 either way. I just got to spread out my spending, and it works for him. He's done it a few times, and we're happy to keeping his cars going. I do often tell people, really check why that car is being sold.
Yeah.
Because
and that's where that North American Rally group, usually you get people in the comments on any car that's for sale on there, like they know what's up with that car for a lot of the time.
I've known few people to sell their race car, whether it be rally car, drag car, autocross. Few people go to sell their race car because they're so amazingly in love with it and things are great, and it's like, this, I just had the best season ever and I'm going to sell my car. That's not usually how it goes. It's more like, I am done with this thing. Somebody else's problem. I'm moving on. Yeah. And there is exceptions. Maybe it was a divorce or kids or, lost your job. So that's not every case, but that's why I said check the history of that car.
From Team O'Neill's perspective, obviously, we highly recommend the used car route as a starter point for most people, just because, getting someone to mechanically understand building their own car, because it's usually the question, should I build my own or buy used? And that, for us, if you've never done it, you're not mechanically inclined, you're learning along the way, that's such a prohibitive amount of time before you can get to a rally stage. Buying the used car and getting some experience, then you can work with a builder or build it yourself to know, this is what I like, this is what I don't like. I can't even, if I were to build my rally car Fiesta today versus the car that I started with, which I was actually a new build at that time, it has changed so much just on my own driving habits, the way I like to sit, the way I like where my gear shifter is, the way I like where my handbrake is, like all those things start to become important. The faster you get, the more time that you want to be in your car, and you can just learn a lot of that if you just kind of get a used car and get rolling. But also, to validate your point, every used rally car we've ever bought has never been turnkey ready. As much as everyone can advertise that it's either got to change for my settings, the belts just became out of date, the fire system needs to get updated. Like, and it's not the person that's even selling it potentially's fault. The rules have changed. Things, cars need constant maintenance and care, and just the safety equipment goes all out of date, and you got to update all that, and you can spend $5,000-10,000 extra really quick. And so just buyer beware in that sense. Almost no rally car can be really ready to go just because the way the rules change and how that happens.
You can absolutely save a ton though. Like that analogy I gave with the guy says it cost me $75,000 over 3 years. He's paying for every hour of labor. Right. If you were a person who was doing that yourself in your garage, well, it's not going to cost you $75,000 over 3 years. It's going to cost you a ton of hours and time, but there's even plenty of people who value that garage time. So,
Marcus asked about volunteering at rally events. It's not necessarily easy. There's not like a single go-to point. American Rally Association, you can sign up as a volunteer there. If you go like to the enter event section, or I believe there's a volunteer tab on American Rally Association's website, and they will send your data to each event. But also each event under American Rally Association has their own webpage that's where historically you would go sign up. So whatever area you're in, Marcus, find the closest events and just sign up to be a volunteer so that you get in the email newsletter and get the information, and then you can select or decide if you can actually help or support that event. But there's not a single source other than American Rally Association is trying to do a better job getting all that data out to the appropriate events. So you could definitely put your information in there, but I recommend going to each event's webpage directly and getting on their direct newsletter. Montana Medic appreciates us, so thank you for coming on. If you have any questions, please go ahead and add them to the comments here.
Wyatt asked about clever mechanical cheats. Are you looking for inspiration, Wyatt? Or,
I could do the Toyota Turbo.
Yeah.
If you don't know about the Toyota Turbo story.
The expandable active
was it
restrictor? No, restrictor. When it came under vacuum, it would open and allow more air to pass by. And they made it through an almost entire season. Nobody knew.
Almost. They almost made it.
Yep.
That's why it's a famous story, is because we did catch them.
Yep. I know I've observed different parts of a car being used as fluid containers or pressure vessels, i.e. adding fuel in places like a roll cage, or which is not really smart. Of course, not a lot of them are, but more likely using like a pressure vessel for charge air that you're building boost and storing it, which is not allowed, but I've seen that done. Funny thing, active arrow has been something people have tried a lot of times, like something that pops up or moves, which isn't legal, but also hard to catch.
And probably hard to. How competitive the competitive advantage.
And rally's still like a gentleman's sport for the most part. I think, gosh, I don't even. There's people cheating all the time. I don't even know if they know they are. It's not even purposeful. Like they're missing a component or a piece. Their car's a little bit light, and unless I've experienced more times where people were cheating, and even their competition knew they were cheating, but they didn't want to do a protest. So I'm not going to win that way. Yeah. It's still out there, but I'll keep thinking why if I come up with any more.
Oh, Marcus kind of meant high performance car. Yeah, for many other major brands.
I think I've been seeing more in our other performance business, because you're starting to get now some pretty cool early 90s cars. Or even I guess all the 90s now are starting to get to be 25 years older, so easier to import. So we have seen a lot more Skylines, and we worked on a crazy Toyota Corolla a couple years ago. It was not a U.S. market Corolla. That has actually been pretty exciting lately. Some of the
fun toys.
Yeah, that was kind of I think that was a good era for automotive manufacturing in the 90s. We didn't have much emissions going on. There was manufacturers fighting in the World Rally Championship and F1 and all these other sanctioning bodies and really pushing product. forward. So I'd love to see some more of that. I think it's coming.
The founder of the rally school, Tim O'Neill, spent a lot of time and money building his Volkswagen Rally Golf, an all-wheel drive Volkswagen that was intended to build to be a quattro beater, but their entire company shifted their strategy and motorsport strategy, and it really never competed in the world stage. But that's what, you know, his goal with that car was, to just see if it could be built, because they really never spent the time and effort to put the whole program together. And he's, you know, it's a dream car of his, but he had to cut out the existing cage because the safety regulations weren't, you know, it was the old cage design, and had to update that. And he's having some issues with the regulations now, that car doesn't really fit anywhere. So
it's a Group 5 car, which we don't have Group 5 anymore.
And so there's not really a rule set for he could be competitive at all with that car. So it's, you know, it's a toy you could play with and come out and try, but wouldn't be something that, you know, again, more of a gentleman's sport and just have fun versus actually trying to be legitimately competitive.
Oh, I correct myself. I said Group 5. That's an all-wheel drive car, so it's it's probably built as a production GT. Yeah.
Benjamin
asked about Fiesta BRZ or SVT Focus. The Fiesta or BRZ is a pretty good platform right now if you want to build your own. There's a lot of parts. You don't have to work much out. You can buy dampers. You can buy bits and pieces. You can go to the dealership and just get body panels and things. So it's pretty easy. SVT Focus really had a short-lived rally career. Fundamentally, they were just too heavy.
Oh, really?
So as soon as the Fiesta came out, everybody was done. Drop Focus. So
not worth it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Ben, you're mechanically inclined. I see that. It depends what. Again, back to your goals. Are you trying to get experience to eventually become a champion? Or are you just wanting to get out there and get on stage? You know, the Fiesta has the most available resources, so it's going to be the cheapest, easiest. If you want to have something that's a little more original, a little different, you know, again, to reference Leah Block, she won the championship in a BRZ this year, so it's something that that platform can be very successful. But that car specifically had a lot of work done to it to make it that competitive. So it's one of those things that it's whatever your goals end up being. But it's nice if you're mechanically inclined, you can play with that stuff. Get a car, get a cage, get something going, and then you can start to tweak and play with it from there.
Yep, I agree. That's and I appreciate the being mechanically inclined. That it's truly how I got into all this myself. So I can appreciate just wanting to. And that comes back, what's your goal? I mean, for me, getting into building race cars I enjoyed racing, but I really enjoyed building the cars was better than racing the cars.
Yeah.
I still enjoy driving a cool car, don't get me wrong, but I've always been more motivated to racing the car was just an excuse to build it.
Right. That's Tim, our founder, his same kind of mindset for most things, I think. He spends just as much or more fun and effort building the car than he does actually getting to race it. That's why he always has another project on the in the works.
Or two. That rally car guy asked about anti-lag on the turbos. Well, certainly. I mean, in the right context, if you want to be competitive.
Yeah.
It's a great way to go fast.
Yeah.
Great way to burn up parts, too.
Yeah, there's a lot of restrictions if you are a rookie, like what you can actually do. The rookie requirements aren't too heavy to get through, but you just have to, make sure you read the rule book and see where you would fall. Because I know there's more restriction on the first four completed events to get your regular rally license. Frog talked about because it's a used car, it has to be a logbook that would be legal. Knowledgeable. Yeah, so anytime you get a cage, a used car, a used rally car, just because it has a logbook, they have started updating the rules, right?
Yep.
So really since 2007, you were saying?
The idea that once logbooked is always okay is really not valid anymore.
Yeah.
Definitely ARA is making, and I think there might be some more in the future. But yeah, there's minimums along with those rules. So
Yeah, so that's a good point. So buying a used rally car these days, you do have to just be a little more understanding of if the car is legal in its current setup. If someone's selling it on the North American Rally page, I highly doubt they're gonna get you with that. But that would be like a private sale or something that you didn't get to talk to the community about. I would be a little more wary of that if you don't know that already. Yeah, so Jet, a rally team member, there's not really a process, right? If you want to come out and join, usually you start, for us, it's come out and just take a rally school. Believe it or not, more of our instructors have started out as students and then have eventually found their way into a job with us. With Ryan and working with him, his crew, you guys probably go through ebbs and flows of adding to your team.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, just like I did, show up to a rally, start volunteering, get to meet some people, know some people, and literally the first people I was crewing for was just like, let me come help.
Right.
I wasn't a great value, but they were happy enough just to have a hand, and I built my own value by keeping at it. And then I had a guy that was tipping me, and then a guy was paying me a little bit, and the guy paid me a little bit more, and then it's just drive. That's the hardest thing. And I think you can see, and I see as a unique factor of all my TRF staff is like drive. You have to want it. You have to go after it. You have to go get it. Because if you're sitting around waiting for it to come to you, it's probably not.
And it's not a job, right? This is a career passion. Like everyone that's doing this really does love that part of it, and if it's not a great way to get rich. So go be a computer programmer or something if that's your goal. So I'm gonna skip to Marcus and back to Wicked. Does the anti-lag cause excessive wear on the turbo?
Yes. Basically, in function, you are taking the combustion that used to be inside the engine and now taking that same combustion and putting it inside the turbocharger. That's why it's still spinning, and that's why it's making boost. Turbochargers don't appreciate having combustion inside them. They do not live as long at all.
So it's a balance. If you want that performance, you're just going to go through more parts and pieces and pay for that, obviously.
You go faster, though. That's the name of the game.
Wicked, you have a good question here. So what do you think the biggest barriers beside money are for getting people out to a rally stage? What do you experience?
Lately, it feels like local community support. As I travel the country, it feels like we're having harder and harder. Well, your events had a hard time with roads. Yeah. Like, if you want to promote rally, talk to your neighbors, talk to your friends, get somebody involved. Like, we need community support for roads. I think there's still enough people that want to be involved. There's enough organization, but we continue to have less and less roads, and that means locals that want us to be there, that are willing to let us use their road, which it's not their road, but we still have to get permission and to close it. And right now, that's a big barrier I see.
Yeah, I think he's also thinking like specifically what people, like a person getting into a stage rally car. So for us, what we see is, just the understanding of the entire, how a rally works. Where do I go? Where do I be? How do you do the co-driving? What are all the elements of stage rally? And that in itself is overwhelming. And that's why whenever anyone comes to the rally school, we send them to Ryan if they actually want to go rallying, because he'll tell you where to go, tell you where to be, set you up with all the right logistics and get that figured out for you. So again, if you want to do this yourself, volunteering at an event, you learn where the hotels are, where the roads are, and you can do it and learn it yourself.
Who the people are, the process.
Yeah.
That's
a huge barrier to entry, because road racing, there's a track, there's a date, there's like show up, be here. That's kind of all set for you. And it's easier to just understand what a race looks like. But a rally is over 100 miles. Yep. And is it linear miles? And are you moving hotels over multiple days? Can you book one hotel and be an essential service spot? they're not all the same.
I think another barrier in general, which covers much what you just talked about, is education. And hopefully these next few weeks with some of the projects we're working on, we can help overcome some of that. But I see a lot of people that maybe even they can get into rally. They saved up for 3 years. They built their first car. They got there, and then 3 events in, they found out that it was harder or more expensive, or logistics was prohibitive, or they couldn't get the time off at work. There's so much complexity to it. I hope that we can build some better education and have people be more long-term viable in rally. Because there's not a lot of structure right now for, I want to rally, how do I do it? I mean, it doesn't really exist.
Yeah. The resources are limited, and we're working on fixing that. And that's part of this, what we want to do tonight with this live, and want to get more community engagement, and just we want to see the rally community continue to grow for sure. All right. What's the best USA state to live in for rally enthusiasts? Probably Michigan still. You know, your guys' car culture, you have 2 national events.
Automotive capital of the world.
It's, that is definitely up and coming. The Kentucky, Tennessee area is seeming to have just tons of bubbling excitement for rally. So, in the next 10 years, that looks like a huge up and coming area. Pacific Northwest has got a lot going on between Oregon and Washington, the Olympus Rally, and then obviously Dirtfish being there. And then, New England, we've suffered a little bit this last 12 months from a national rally side of things, but our rally sprints, the rally school here, and then actually just the TSD rallies and the rally community in New England's really, really healthy still. So we have STPR, Ohio, a little bit longer toes for the New England region. So, but yeah, it's something that there's still rally to be had on this part of the world. So yeah, there's kind of pockets. Desert Southwest, there's some stuff down
pockets
there. But yeah, it's definitely not a clear map for sure.
I have a funny story I want to fill everybody in that's reading along with Josh's comment talking about find a rally team, show up and never leave. That's my tip.
Josh is also your employee.
Yeah, and Josh was a referral from a friend who said, "Hey, I know this guy. He's all excited. He's ready to go. He wants to rally. You got a spot for him." And I touched base with him and said, "Yeah, hey, we're doing snowdrift in a few weeks, and you want to come help?" He said, "Yeah." And we all left. We all went to the event. Still hadn't seen Josh. We expected he would be there. I think it was like Thursday night. And where's this guy? I mean, he's blown us off. We open the door. This is snowdrift. It's like 0 degrees outside, and there's a Subaru parked out front. And the guy just falls asleep in the car all night long. Like, knock on the window. "Are you Josh?" He's like, "Yeah, ready to go." I was like, yeah, and the guy's truly been with us ever since. But it was that drive. It was like, I don't care. I'm just tell me where to be. I'm gonna get there. I'm get after it and get it done. And Josh is maybe one of the most passionate crew people you'll ever meet. I mean, and he's getting to tour around North America now, doing Baja and California and all sorts of places. So
yeah,
good for him. But it takes that kind of drive and motivation to get there sometimes.
Yeah, one of my crew guys, Josh Tummy, we call him, is his nickname. He started at Team O'Neill just cleaning cars, and he was always just told us his dreams and desires. And I told him that, hey, if you were willing to go get your CDL and become a licensed driver, maybe someday I'll be able to take you out go to a rally. And I've been able to bring him all over the country, and he's now in school to become a certified welder and wants to build roll cages. And it's just he started at the bottom, the lowest rung position at Team O'Neill, and he's just got the motivation and drive to keep working. And he keeps asking the question, "What else can I do?" And I keep telling him, "Here's the thing," and he keeps going and does it. So good job, Tummy. We love having you on the team.
Good guy to have around.
Yeah. So we appreciate you guys. Nate, so yeah, you have an interesting question. So how can rally improve the spectator experience? First, you probably should ask the question, do we want to? So that's part of the problem again with our sport. And if you get a chance to ever go spectate a European rally, it's just been doing it so long, the locals know how to get there. There's an infrastructure but based off local knowledge of how to go spectate rallies. This sport has been so secret in this country for so long, and the point is to go point to point, A to B, one car at a time over a long distance. How do you bottle that up and to make it more spectator friendly? And if you did, what is the return on investment? What is the point for the sport? You know, ultimately there needs to be spectator points where you could see more action and get more involved. And as a series, we've talked about having like a circus style experience where you could be at a point and have something else to do while rally cars go by. But the rally car being the focus of the entertainment, unless you like being in the woods, hanging out and waiting for every 1 minute a rally car driving by, if that doesn't excite you, there's not much more out there that we can provide to create a more spectator friendly experience. So it's a very hard question to answer. It's something that, you know, how do you monetize the spectators and get revenue to help pay for more spectating and build a business out of it? I had lots of dreams and visions and ways I was trying to fix that, and I couldn't figure it out. And it's something that I don't have that answer. You know, I know ARA is thinking about that now. I know there's people that are trying to solve that problem, but it's not coming for me.
Shameless plug for Rally. If you're looking to personally improve your spectating experience, volunteer.
Right.
It's like
That's the
immediate all access pass, well, as close as you're going to get to being right there in the thick of the action. So that's one of the best seats in the house.
Yeah, Ben. So live stream, these rally stages are in very rural locations until, you know, the whole the Elon internet, Starlink. Until then, it wasn't even a potential to even have that be a conversation. But again, it's a price point. How many people are going to log in, and where the sponsors are to justify that investment? If you look at WRC and what they do, there's enough infrastructure because Red Bull owns the media rights to WRC. There's a helicopter flying over the stages with a plane flying above that helicopter that runs that feed back to their internet hub. I got the opportunity to see the infrastructure and the insides, but millions and millions of dollars every event in their media because they have, you know, $100 a year you can sign up and get your WRC pass, and there's enough business there for Red Bull to justify it.
Yep.
But there's also $1 billion company backing it as well.
It's a global audience.
We don't have that in the US, so it's just a bunch of, you know, clubmen having fun.
Yep.
So it's a balancing act for sure.
There's someone watching from Korea. That's pretty cool. Hello to you. Thanks for watching.
All right, guys. I think that's about it. I think we've wrapped up most of the questions. We really appreciate you guys sending us info. Ryan, if they want to get a rally car built or want to get a hold of you, what's the best way for these guys to get in touch with you?
Thompson Racing Fabrications, all over social media. I mean, you can connect with us there probably through Messenger or anything like that. It's a pretty easy way to reach us.
Okay, awesome. What about your direct email? I'll just put it in the comments right now. Here.
It's Ryan at leelanaucars.com. LEELANAU cars.com.
Cool. All right, guys. We appreciate everyone on the live stream tonight. We look forward to doing more stuff like this. So if you guys have questions or want to see us do something like this again, please let us know. We'll work on putting this together some more, and we've got a whole video series coming out. So hopefully before Snowdrift, you'll see some more content from us.
Yep. And thank you so much for having me. It's been a treat.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. Have a good night.
Bye.